Hi everybody, Dr. Mike here. In this video, we're going to take a look at immunity. Now remember, there's two arms of the immune system. There's the innate arm and the adaptive arm. When we look at the innate aspect of the immune system, it's non-specific and it doesn't develop a memory. So it doesn't matter whether it's a bacteria or a virus or a fungi, it's going to attack it the same way and no memory is developed. So it doesn't remember attacking that virus or bacteria if it happens again. When we look at the adaptive immune system, it is specific, it is targeted, and it does develop a memory. Now this memory where we're talking about are antibodies. Antibodies are parts of the immune system that we create that are targeted to specific parts of a molecule called antigens. Antigens are flags, they're proteins that molecules have on their surface, and they say whether they belong to us or they don't belong to us. If they don't belong to us, antibodies will target them for agglutination and destruction. Now, this memory of antibodies that we develop is called immunity, and there's 4 different types of immunity. That's what I want to go through with you. The first type of immunity I want to talk about is that of active immunity. Simply, active immunity is where you make the antibodies yourself. You make the antibodies within your own body. So that means you must come across an antigen. So an antigen must be introduced to your body one way or another, and your body creates antibodies against it. That's active immunity, and there's 2 types: natural and artificial. Now you're going to see this word natural and artificial come up again. Do not get confused with that natural fallacy. Natural does not mean better. Artificial does not mean worse. Natural simply means you come across it within the environment. So if you're developing antibodies yourself, so active immunity, a natural type of active immunity is if you come across a pathogen. So that means some bacteria or virus or fungi gets into your body, it's got the antigens or flags or proteins on their surface, and you make antibodies against them. That's naturally acquired active immunity. When we look at artificially acquired active immunity, this is simply where you get the antigen through some artificial means. A specific example of this is when you get a vaccination. A vaccine will contain an antigen, whether it's live or attenuated, for example, but they're still antigens and your body still creates antibodies against them. That's artificially acquired active immunity. When we look at passive immunity, this is where you do not create the antibodies yourself. You simply receive the antibodies. So you don't come across an antigen. All right, you actually get the antibodies pre-made. So you can have naturally acquired, where you get the antibodies. The most common form here is that through the maternal line. So you can get the antibodies from your mum. So this may be her blood supply, fetal blood supply, or this could be through breastfeeding, for example. So that's naturally acquired passive immunity. There's also artificially acquired passive immunity, and this is where you will receive the antibodies directly, usually intravenously, so it could be through an injection, for example, or through IV. Monoclonal antibodies are an example of this. And this can happen with immunotherapies, for example, or it could happen if somebody gets rabies, for example. There's not enough time for you to develop the antibodies yourself. You must get those antibodies given to you. And usually they don't last very long. Because you haven't made them yourself, they usually don't stay in your system for a long time. They're destroyed. But it is a good way, depending on some types of infections, to develop immunity. So these are the different types: active immunity, passive immunity, and naturally acquired and artificially acquired immunity.